just been set up here for us for for game 4 of heat number 3. Um, and we will be covering the uh, Chris Mirror match. So I've got Chris Kelly playing Dark Side against Chris Gogolen playing Light Side. Um, they just played last game, uh, um, and Chris Kelly won that. So Chris Kelly is 3-0. Chris Gogolen is 2-1. Um, so we will see the breakdown, or we'll see if they can break it up here, or if Chris Kelly will make it through and bury Chris Gogolen, put him having to go 2-0 to make it through. Um, but could go either way. Totally different decks this time, so we'll see. For those of you who are once we have viewers, you can submit your predictions for the winner of the matchup. I'm running a promotion that I forgot to do last round, so sorry to anybody who was watching me and didn't get to take advantage of it. But anybody who is watching can kind of call their shot on who they think is going to win this match, and or win this game, I should say. And I will keep a log of everyone who chose, and whoever chooses correctly will kind of tally that up. And by the time I'm done streaming today, whoever has picked the most winners on my stream will get a giveaway of a virtual pack 13, virtual set 13, I believe it is, pack. So we been provided some special promotional stuff to give away for this. Um, the giveaway is a pack of set 13 V cards. So included. So these are cut up V slips that are promotional. I believe they're typically promotionally stamped, that they're promo giveaways for Worlds. And then Dan tells us that included in these there will be one foil white bordered preview card, which I think means it's a preview card of set 14. Hopefully. Not to tell me whoever the winner is, whether that's the case or not, as well as the underlying card for that card, for whatever that is. So presumably it's not going to be, like Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight V or anything. But it's still, we'll be fully ready to play. And the foil whiteboarded ones, I got to say, are super sweet. It's out of reach for me right now, but I will show off the one of the foil promos that I got for, I can't remember what it was, but another giveaway of some sort. The It was the Ahsoka Tano, and that foil looks so sweet. The biggest thing that I'm sad about, well, actually, there's many things that I'm sad about not being able to play live Star Wars right now, but one is certainly that I can't play my live promo cards. So anyway, looks like the games are all kind of getting started. I was dropped the ball on that. Let's see, where are? Well, the one matchup that I'm waiting for hasn't started yet, so unless I'm completely missing this. Yeah, no, I don't. Oh, okay. They had to cancel it because one of the players joined the wrong game. Okay, that's that's understandable. Um, and yeah, thank you guys for congratulations. I was super happy to make day 2. I was super happy to make it early and not have to struggle through the last game like I unfortunately made Connor Britton do against me. A little sad to end up 4-2, but getting to play day 2 by itself is, I think, going to be a lot of fun. So um, we'll have to 4-0 to make top 8, but well, we'll have to just see if we can do it. So um, all right, well, the two Chris's are in the lobby. I guess we can talk about this. So Chris Kelly won game one on Hitco, which should be a surprise to nobody. Um, and oh no. Okay, well hopefully that's fine. All right. And Chris Gogolen was playing Dark Side, or no, he was playing TTO. Uh, so let's see how the matchup goes here. I had no calls yet, so until they make a play, I'll let you. But if nobody calls, then we're just gonna call that a wrap for this for this round. So we've got um, Chris Kelly on Hunt Down V, the new Hunt Down and Destroy the Jedi. Gogolen on some sort of Hoth CRV. Okay, I'll take that Solid Snake as your call of Hunt Down as the winner here. Um, Gogolen saying to Chris that this matchup was supposed to be games 5 and 6, and they split both, go 5-1 and make it. All right, so Gogolen is okay. It's not 100% yet, but I would say it's very likely that Gogolen's playing EBO. Um, so far, it's just Hoth CPV. It could go a couple of different ways, but Gogolen did start Walkling, which doesn't really tell us anything. Strike Planning also doesn't really tell us anything. But then a new secret base, non-V. Now, in fairness, that also doesn't necessarily give it away, because I have seen Hoth CPV decks that use it just as an activation platform. They use this to pull a free 2-0, a free 1-0, and then just kind of go from there. Now, typically, though, those decks would not necessarily start strike planning. It would be whatever supports the other part of your package. Often it's like Jedi business or something like that. So for the moment, we will say tentatively EBO. Now for Chris Kelly's side, he has started security precautions. There are many hunting you now, and I am your father V. All pretty typical of what we've seen of the Hunt Down V decks so far. The Ancient Watering Hole variant. I have heard of that, but I haven't seen it yet. And all right, at this point, they have activated, pulled. All right, I'm gonna cut this off. So Solid Snake has got the only entry so far, so we'll keep a note of that. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to say this until I cut off my entries for this, but I would agree. If this is truly traditional EBO, or if this is really EBO, unless Chris Gogolen has made some serious changes to the way the deck is typically constructed to account for this matchup, I would say Hunt Down V is favored. And the reason is the biggest thing that Hunt Down V gained as far as this matchup goes, because I would agree that traditionally the EBO Hunt Down matchup was in favor of EBO. Maybe very slightly if you played it quite well, but still unfavorable. But the thing that Hunt Down V gained the most is this text right here, that while Vader is armed with a lightsaber and you're flipped on the 7 side, your opponent's force drain bonuses are canceled. Now, for those unfamiliar with EBO, we'll presumably see it in a little bit. EBO stands for Echo Base Operations. Echo Base Operations is the core piece of this deck, and biggest thing is it makes your force drain bonuses at systems +2, or or rather, it adds a force drain bonus of 2 to all of your drains at systems. However, since Hunt Down will cancel that drain bonus once it's flipped now, that means that you will be doing very little damage in space, whereas traditionally EBO is an excellent space damage deck, because they can very often play a couple of systems out. A new secret base lets you go find systems. Often they will pull the Endor system, because with strike planning, your opponent's force generation at the Endor system is canceled, so they won't actually get any force from that. But you still get to drain there for 1, I think usually is how it goes. But without the drain bonus from EBO, EBO is going to be really hard pressed to do damage, because they don't run any they don't run any systems that give up 2 icons. They don't run like Kessel or Naboo or anything like that typically. Now, that being said, though, as I think about that, there is a possibility of some changes that Gogolen may have made to improve the deck in this matchup. Like, it's not impossible. The most obvious would be that Gogolen could just run a bunch of Jedi. If he's able to keep Chris Kelly on the 0 side of his objective, then his drain bonuses will all be on. And if he can put a bunch of like immune to attrition Jedi at this 1/1 site where nothing special happens, then he'll be able to keep his drains going. Now, the traditional way that EBO would be able to do this to keep Hunt down flipped on the 0 side is to play Commander Luke Skywalker V. And it would put Commander Luke Skywalker V in Rogue One, the speeder, not the ship from the movie. And they would usually pull Echo Base Garrison, which is the effect that goes along with all the speeders. All of that together would make Commander Luke and Rogue One immune to attrition less than 6. They will typically run either Commander Wedge Antilles to cancel Battle Destinies if they draw more than 1, or they would run Combined Fleet Action, the Admiral's Order, that would prevent the opponent from drawing more than 1 Battle Destiny at a site anyway. And then once you're at that point, immune less than 6 on Rogue One, Luke adds 2 to maneuver, so you're maneuver 6. So hitting it with a weapon's not realistic. Cracking the immunity is very difficult. Commander Luke in Rogue One is usually pretty secure. The reason that I don't think that plan works that well against Hunt Down anymore is primarily actually this text here, where you have an Inquisitor. Your total battle destiny is +1, +2 if you have a hatred card, and then this card which adds hatred cards to characters. The Inquisitors being in the deck and the dynamic changes the dynamic dramatically, because even with 1 battle destiny, Hunt Down can very easily crack a 6 immunity. Maybe not very easily. Maybe that's putting it too strongly, but it's not nearly as difficult as it was for traditional Hunt Down or for another traditional main stack. Hunt Down V doesn't have to shoot down Rogue One. Hunt Down V doesn't have to do any of the weird stuff that Hunt Down Non-V would have to do to be able to beat EBO. So you can't lean on Commander Luke in Rogue One the way that you used to be able to. So that's why I say the immune to attrition Jedi are probably actually, like, putting in Commander Luke is fine, but you want to also add more Jedi. You want to also add more characters that would let you flip Hunt Down, because you have to keep Hunt Down on the 0 side if you're EBO in order to do anything here. Now, I've been talking about all this while skipping over everything that's happened in the game. It's all been pretty typical. Actually, the biggest weird thing is that Chris Kelly used his objective to try to pull a sight on turn 1 and missed. He didn't have any sights. So DK Woods, I was going to say to put it in the Twitch chat. Sorry, I didn't actually say, so that's on me. We're far enough into the game now, and I've talked enough about the game that I'm not going to count it anymore for this one. But yeah, going forward, just say it in the Twitch chat. Although, actually, if you post it on the forum, I'll probably find it there too. But timestamp-wise, I'd say put it in the Twitch chat so that I know that it was posted, before a concession happened. So just for a cleanness sake. Anyway, so Chris Kelly did give up a verify of almost his entire deck on turn 1 rather. So that helps a bit for Gogolen. And then he was able to set up the Vader on turn 1. Gogolen has the projection to reduce this drain, so he's only going to take 2 from this drain. He did pull Battle Plan, so Crowley's going to have to pay for that. Now, additionally, Chris Kelly notably cannot use his objective to pull the other 2/1, the Inquisitor one, that is, I guess, not guaranteed, but is likely in the deck. There is that concern of that floating 0 that's going to be in there. Also, a little bit of activation concern, although EBO doesn't really force choke the opponent that much. Yeah, David, that's kind of why also I was like, well, I can't count it now because I just spent the first like 5 minutes talking about why Chris Kelly is super favorite is favored in this game, I think. But so yeah, Chris Kelly just causes the drain of two. Gogolen loses. It's a hit from hand. Jedi levitation from hand. Both seem pretty reasonable. I mean, biggest thing too that that is tough for EBO in the matchup in general um, is that EBO is very vulnerable to early damage because EBO cannot afford to lose cards to blindly lose cards from reserve early in the game. Because if EBO, and he did actually use a secret base to pull the Echo docking bay and the actual Echo base operations card, so we can all look at it now. Because if Echo base operations gets lost to a drain early, the game's basically over. EBO just really can't win without this card. Um, so, I mean, you wouldn't probably concede, but you really just don't want to put yourself in a position of having to try to play around having lost EBO already. So, my a ton of EBO this weekend. That's actually kind of surprising to me because I don't think there was very much in the first two heats. Although we can talk about that later on. But so yeah, Gogolen definitely is just plain EBO so far. Everything that we've seen so far is pretty typical. He's got General Carlos Riken, who's a I guess I would say fairly linchpin card for this deck. Gives you free movement around Hoth, free shuttling up and down. So yeah, pretty great card for EBO. And then General Dodonna V, who will let you pull presumably a Y-Wing. There's likely not a related battleground in the deck at this point. And then the rest of that text applies to a different deck. It doesn't really do anything here because your opponent's spies can't deploy here anyway. I guess one thing that we haven't talked about in case it's relevant, in case anyone is watching is unaware, the Hoth energy shield rules are relevant for EBO. So one of the big strengths of Echo Base Operations is they play all of these locations. However, the way the Hoth energy shield rules work is that everything, as long as the first marker is out, everything, the first, second, and third markers and all of the Echo sites are all shielded, meaning the dark side cannot deploy there even if they have spies. They can't they can't shuttle down to those locations. I don't believe they can't land there. They can't deploy there. The only thing they can do is they can deploy to this location here that is not shielded, and then they can move their characters and vehicles and stuff into the base. Now, the other caveat, though, is that even though this site would normally be a battleground, you can see here it is not a battleground currently because it is under the shield. Yep, under Hoth Energy Shield. Not relevant currently, but could be relevant later that it is not under the shield. Now that Echo Base Operations has been played and is on the table, we got a couple things going on. One is that deploys at system locations are -1 also. We see that force drain bonus we were talking about. So Gogolen then deploys a Corellian Corvette and a Red 8 to get some space presence and a shield here. Now, he is still flipped, so this is still only going to be a drain of 1, as we've been talking about, but he does bring the Admiral up. So he's got a space presence now. Now the question is going to be, how can he flip Chris Kelly back? Because he is really going to have to do that to win this game. At present, he is doing 1 damage and taking 1 from Visage, while Chris Kelly is doing 2 and taking none. So certainly Chris Kelly is way ahead as far as the damage goes. Yes, so I was like, the shield rules were changed before I started playing. I don't know when exactly that change was made, but they were changed specifically to avoid that because the 5th and 6th markers are not battleground locations. They are 2 zeros or 1 zeros or something like that. So they were changed specifically so that Darkseid could not start the 5th or 6th marker and prevent there from being any battlegrounds on Hoth. Yeah, specifically for that reason. Yeah, because the other aspect of the Hoth Energy Shield rules, and the reason that EBO is a strong deck is because you may have noticed at the beginning he started the first marker. Part of the Hoth Energy Shield rules is when you have the first marker, you have to deploy the fourth marker. That is if there is not another marker side on table. Now the weird thing here is that the third marker got deployed by Darkseid, but by their starting interrupt. So it was after. Actually, that's weird. I don't know if that should have worked that way. Huh. I'll have to think about that. The Hoth Energy Shield rules, what I was going to say is that they require Lightside to deploy the fourth marker so that there is a battleground on Hoth for Darkseid to come into Echo Base with. The much less commonly seen way of canceling Echo Base operations is if the opponent occupies 5 Hoth sites. I say much less commonly used because, as we just discussed, Darkseid can deploy here, but not to any of these other 5 sites, so they have to deploy here and move everybody in, which takes a really long time and is not something that I don't think I've ever seen anyone actually do. So anyway, all of that talking about the early part, they're just doing drain damage. General Dodonna did in fact take Gold Leader and Gold 1 into hand. Gold Leader and Gold 1 pretty strong against actually kind of a lot of the dark side space plans that we've seen out of Hunt Down, because a lot of the Hunt Down decks that we've seen, Hunt Down V in particular, since it has restrictions on what characters you can play, most notably you can't play Maul, you can only play Imperials, Bounty Hunters, and Droids. A lot of people have just said forget it to those first two, and they just play Imperial Enforcement and a bunch of Imperials because the Inquisitors are so good. Gold Leader and Gold 1 is really good against the space packages that those decks tend to run, because very commonly they are like Mara in Ship and Emperor's Personal Shuttle, which both rely heavily on drawing a lot of Destinies. What is this? Okay, so Chris Kelly plays We Must Accelerate Our Plans to Get in Effect. Gogolen decides to grab it. That seems pretty reasonable. Chris Kelly gets Overseeing It Personally. Which he is going to presumably deploy on Vader to make it so that the drain at this site cannot be canceled or reduced. That's cool. And I think Chris Kelly's rumming it in here because you might see at the bottom here, this card was designed by Chris Gogolen, and Chris Kelly is going to be using it against Gogolen to hopefully win the game against him. That's kind of great. I love that. Now, that does seem to indicate to us that, Chris Kelly seems to be perfectly happy to just park himself at this Malachor site and just drain and make Gogolen do something. And, in fairness, that's pretty reasonable because Gogolen isn't really presenting the option to do anything else currently. Okay, so Chris Kelly added something special planned for them, the additional grabber. More grabbers is certainly very common. We see that a lot in Darkside decks right now. Usually because the hit code decks, He is the Chosen One decks, have a lot of very powerful interrupts. A lot of decks actually have a lot of very powerful interrupts now, so running an extra grabber, if you can, is a pretty reasonable choice. Chris Kelly's just going to draw a bunch of cards and get ready to try to beat down if Gogolen goes to the ground. He plays Point Man to cycle a high Destiny that he doesn't need and look at those last 4 cards to find something else that he likes better. Yeah, Gogolen played Ultimatum here, but it's... Well, okay, so the Ultimatum is more likely to come into play because presumably Gogolen will be able to pull another system now with a new secret base, and then we'll be able to occupy 2 systems and the site, hopefully, to satisfy Ultimatum. I think actually his ultimate preference would be to pull 2 systems, hold 3 systems to satisfy ultimatum. But then again, as we discussed, he has to go to ground to be able to do anything. So, yeah, we'll see. I wonder if he wants to just put some character down at the defensive perimeter because it is a drain of 2. Even though it's not a battleground, he can then satisfy. Well, the coward shield's not out, but if he did this, Chris Kelly would pull the coward. Come here, you big coward shield. But then he can satisfy coward by occupying another system, and then just pay for all the drains. I don't know if that's good enough. Okay, well, Chris Gogolen pulls the Endor system, which we talked about. This system is generating 2 force for light and 0 for dark because of strike planning. Now, it is a drain -1 for both of them, because there aren't going to be any Endor locations or any sites, so there's not a possibility of an Imperial or a Rebel being on Endor to make the drain not -1. Because now typically EBO would be able to drain 3 here, but they can't because of all the stuff we've talked about. So, oh, gotta refresh. Okay. So Gogolen is just playing some more space here. We got Gold Leader and Green Squadron 1. We got Ray here as a pilot. Now typically, ooh, okay, that's a cool one. So we got Uncontrollable Fury on Vader. So, what he's done here is he's put Rey on the table to be a character of ability greater than 3. And now, every turn that Vader doesn't battle, as long as Rey's still on the table, Chris Kelly's going to have to lose 2 force. Now, I presume from this strategy that Gogolen is in fact not playing the additional Jedi and stuff that we were talking about. His plan is to just let Chris Kelly soak up 2 damage on Uncontrollable Fury every turn and never give Vader an option to battle somebody. And my presumption would be that is going to be happening because he is intending to never flip Hunt down. Okay. Now he's moved the Corellian Corvette over to Endor alone, and he's in his draw step now. So I've just moved here for free. Okay. So presumably this is going to be defended somewhat by a rebel leadership, or a rebel leadership would be my guess. There could be a react ship also, although the most common one is right here, so not this one. And then he plays he plays Out of Commission to cancel the Vicious, so he stops taking that ping damage. So that's certainly a good thing. That's certainly a good thing for Gogolen. That was an important card for him to find. Yeah, and that's the biggest danger that I found for Uncontrollable, or not that I found. I haven't actually tried this, but that in theory I would think for Uncontrollable Fury is that the Hunt Down deck very commonly runs a You Are Beaten now, because You Are Beaten is really good, and is no longer shielded. So it's going to be incumbent, though, on Chris Kelly to find that card before he takes too much damage from this Uncontrollable Fury. Now, the other thing, too, about EBO and the danger here for this matchup is that EBO puts a lot of cards on the table. He says there's a lot of sites already. He's played a bunch of ships. He's down to 21 in life force and 9 in hand, while Chris Kelly is at 31 in life force and 12 in hand. Sounds like I think called this a little earlier too. Gogolen has a way put your weapon, which I have not actually seen. Um, so we're putting a lightsaber. Oh, and this is actually really key. So he puts the lightsaber. Uh, if a lightsaber was just used to enhance a force chain, place it in owner's use pile, which it was. So Vader's lightsaber is in the use pile now. Now that's not gone forever because he can pull it with "I am your father." However, Vader only cancels the force drains while he's armed with a lightsaber. Um, so that means we're still going to be uh, looking at drains of 3 here now. Now, Chris Kelly did have the escape to get the Visage back. He's going to play the Visage, which he loses no force to, still from the 7 side of Hunt Down. And if he's playing a Dark Jedi lightsaber, he can now use Visage to pull the Dark Jedi lightsaber and play it on Vader. So he did have a way to play around that particular card and play, but we'll see if he has the Dark Jedi lightsaber, because he might not, or it might not be in his reserve deck right now. I'd say the Dark Jedi lightsaber is a pretty common card for them to be playing. I guess my list will be posted in a couple days, so I was certainly playing. I was playing a Dark Jedi lightsaber in my deck, in my Hunt Down deck. There's really just not. I think there's really just not a lot of reason not to play it, since you can pull it for free with the Visage on turn 1. Um, okay, so okay, Chris is spreading now. He's sending the seventh sister. Oh, huh. Okay, so he's putting Seventh Sister and Dark Jedi lightsaber to the Hoth Northridge, to the battleground site on Hoth. Um, okay, so that occupies another battleground. That is a battleground that is going to be a drain of 2 once he adds 1 to the drain with the Dark Jedi lightsaber. Now, I am not really sure if I like that play, to be honest. Oh, they are reverting. Okay. Oh, but not. Okay. He's still playing the Dark Jedi. Okay. I was gonna say I don't know if I really like that. Oh, okay. Well, there it is. So Chris Kelly's playing multiple versions of Vader's lightsaber. He's in this case playing Darth Vader's lightsaber V. Now this one does not add to drains, so that's extremely relevant. However, you can throw it to add a Destiny to attrition, so it can use it to clear characters a little more easily. Um, it's actually kind of an interesting tech choice, um, because it makes the weapon a lot more useful, particularly against Hitco, against the other mains decks, because it effectively gives you close to a second swing. It gives you something very similar to what Maul grants you, where you get the ability to clear multiple characters. Um, and I Am Your Father lets you play the lightsaber from lost, so sending it lost doesn't really cost you very much. You lose all force, but that's not too much here. Um, okay, and then Uncontrollable Fury will cause 2 ping here. Um, Now that does mean though that the away put your weapon tech is not going to work on this version of Darth Vader's lightsaber, because that version does not add to drains. Um, and notably, Chris Kelly left 4 force up with 11 in hand. Now, as someone who's played quite a bit of this Hunt Down deck, to me that sounds like there's a possibility of I believe it's a 5th brother, the Inquisitor, that can play as a react to protect Seventh Sister. Because Seventh Sister is a very, very good card, but is a bit vulnerable here. I mean, she's immune less than 4, forfeit 7, all this good stuff, all these good things. But one thing that I think people forget oftentimes about EBO is that EBO can beat down pretty hard. It's very possible for them to drop like Rogue 3 Commander Wedge Lando here and just draw a bunch of destinies against Seven Sister. Like, that's entirely possible. Um, Now, of course, the flip side of that is that the Hunt Down deck is pretty resilient, has very high destinies throughout. Um, okay, and then Chris Kelly pulls the Fanfare Shield playing around Ice Storm, which is a card that most people don't play in their EVOs anymore because this shield exists, but is probably worth thinking about if you have an extra shield pull. Um, like given that you're playing this Hoth battleground, like I think it's fairly reasonable. Um, okay, and then I guess Gogolen is not going to be trying a beatdown here, or either that or he thinks he can afford it regardless because he is paying to do a drain. Um, okay. Naboo. Okay, so that's another techie way that EBO can go. As I said, because typically they don't run systems like Naboo or Kessel, systems that would be natural drain twos, because they just don't need to. However, in this case, since you know that Hunt Down V is a deck that you have to be worried about, it's fairly pain free to play a system that's like this, especially if you're not really concerned about giving your opponent force icons anyway. I mean, it's hard for EBO to really be too worried about giving up force icons to your opponent because you're just going to anyway. So playing a 2/2 instead of a 2/1 that has a drain bonus that's going to get canceled is actually pretty. It's actually a pretty good choice. Um, yeah, Dylan, no, you're right. The third marker is not a battleground, but the fourth marker is. I don't think it doesn't look like Gogolen has gone this deep, but it's entirely possible that you could go deep enough to play, say, like Naboo, Kessel, and a bunch of smugglers and try to Kessel run in your EBO deck. That's like not outside the realm of possibility. It's maybe not the best thing to do because one of the weaknesses of EBO is because they run all of these ships, their destiny is not that high. So it's possible that you could set up a turn to do this and not have a total of 13 left in your deck when you play Castle Run, which would be kind of awkward. So I think that might be a little too far on attack. Um, so okay, we've got the Naboo system, and then Gogolen plays the Tantive there, along with Captain Hera and General Leia Organa. Um, so he's gonna lose the Force of Visage. He's played Projection now on the Hoth battleground, so this is going to be a drain of one if Chris Kelly chooses to pay for it. This site is still a drain of two. Um, yes, because overseeing it personally prevents the projection limitation. Um, so presumably Chris Kelly is still going to pay for that drain of two. Mm. Chris Kelly's paying the full 5 force to pull an effect with We Must Accelerate. I wonder what he's getting. He gets Blast Door controls. Okay. My surprise there, not so much that there is a Blast Door controls in the deck, because Blast Door controls is a very good card, and certainly good for this Hunt Down deck as your Canceller. It's also great against Watcher Step because Watcher Step is big now and often runs barrier um, and Blast the Door Kid, although I maybe wouldn't now because specifically of Blast Door controls. Um, but what's notable to me about that is it indicates that there's a battle that he is planning on doing this turn because otherwise you wouldn't need Blast Door controls. Um, so I'm curious to see where that's going to be. Uh, okay. That's the one that makes the most sense. So Gogolen is going to pull the Goldenrod Shield to make Chris Kelly pay 2 for the Emperor that must be in his hand for this play to make any sense. Yep, there it is. Um, Now, Tarkin would be the common pilot that you'd see go with this to get to 3 destinies. Yeah, Lando can pull Blastador Fallen Portal. We don't know, Dylan. I've actually, from what I've seen, Gogolen's played a couple of different EBO builds over the past year. I've actually usually gone to his builds for EBO when I look to play it. Okay, so Chris Kelly adds the Grand Inquisitor as his pilot, who's a fine pilot, and notably is an Inquisitor for the Inquisitor effect, which works while with, doesn't have to be present with. So he can try to cancel Hera's text here, which obviously I probably will work. Although I don't actually know, because since this is immune to attrition anyway, it doesn't really matter if you draw a bunch of destinies. Like, okay, yeah, he chooses to lose the force. What I was saying, Dylan, is we don't know if Gogolen's playing speeders and stuff to be able to flip the objective. It's not clear yet. Yes, the Battle Destiny modifier works in space. Both the modifier to drawing Inquisitors, but also the total Battle Destiny works in space. Now the modifier is to total; it's not to each draw. So it's going to be 1 draw from Grand Inquisitor, 1 draw from ship. So 2 total draws, and then at +2 for the total. You played 3 CCT with your light side yesterday. That's I'll be honest, that's 3 more CCTs than I was expecting to see. I was really not thinking that scum decks were gonna be making much of a showing today. So, well, clearly I'm wrong. So, okay, so Tali Linthra can move as a react to the same location as your episode 7 character. That explains the General Leia being here. Chris Kelly will add another Battle Destiny with Far More Frightening Than Death, another great Inquisitor support card from set 13. And then he draws. So we got Night Sister, who is a 4 for Destiny because this deck is great. And Master Move, which is a 5. And Force Field's a 4, so that is going to be 15 total for Battle Destiny. Against 4. So there is going to be, well, hang on. Okay, so there's going to be a little bit of overflow damage that Chris Kelly's going to have to suffer here, but not like a lot. So. And 15 overflow, or no, sorry, 15 attrition rather, is unfortunately going to be exactly enough to have to be both characters and one of the ships. So Chris loses the force field because that's probably not going to do anything, and then loses the masterful move from use pile also. Gogolen loses the 2 characters, and then I assume that Tali Linthra. Yeah, okay. Now, failing finding the "you are beaten," my guess would be Chris Kelly's goal here is going to be to try to kill all the ability 4 characters, which is like pretty reasonable. Now, unfortunately, though, yes, Chris Kelly already won the light side again. I didn't actually. I watched the very end of your coverage of that game, Dylan. But the I would guess that Chris Kelly's goal here is just going to be to kill Rey. And the trouble part of that is that oh, that's interesting. Why did you do that? So Chris Kelly moved Seventh Sister into the Hoth North Ridge, presumably just to get the extra drain. the extra drain bonus, because this is going to be now the possibility of drain of, well, I guess 2 because of ultimatum. Um, and then, but notable. Well, actually, no, never mind. That makes total sense to do because I forgot that he's satisfying battle plan with this setup here. So I was gonna say it was weird to move in and not be satisfying battle plan, but that's not true because he is satisfying battle plan. Although I haven't been watching really closely what Gogolen has lost to his force drains. We know though that he pulled Gold Leader and Gold One into hand. Um, very early in the game with General Dodonna. I wonder if Chris Kelly forgot that because he drew a bunch of cards that he really didn't, or no, he didn't draw any cards, but he did. I I don't actually. I think you were not supposed to leave just one force back here. I think you were supposed to leave more than that because now, yeah, because now Chris can. He's expecting the shuttle to hold up. Yeah, it's like, but now Chris can play this gold leader. He's overpowering by a lot, and Chris Kelly's only going to get to draw one Destiny back, so he's going to suffer a lot of damage from this battle here. Although, I don't know, maybe not that much. Okay, well, that doesn't help. Um, yeah, no, and moving into drain at the non-battleground's not a big deal. I was mostly thinking I was forgetting that Vader is satisfying battle plan was what I was getting at. I thought it was weird to move off of the battleground site, but it's not actually, so that's fine. Um, okay, so Gogolen now is going to get a retrieval off of the first strike. This actually is, well, it's a drain of 2 because we're satisfying ultimatum. Ultimatum's on the table. Um, all right, and then no tricks are happening, so we're just gonna draw 2 4s for Battle Destiny. So Goglin is now at 26 power against, I think this is gonna be 8? No, 9? I think it's gonna be 9. Oh, no, it's gonna be 10. Okay. How'd that point man get there? Oh, he moved. Yeah, yeah. I thought that was the Night Sister on top. Okay, so, I mean, 16 overflow, though, is, a fair bit. And then we lose the Lando, which is pretty reasonable because he was going to have to pay maintenance and doesn't really want to do that. We lose the Grand Inquisitor and the Emperor. So, it's gonna be on Chris Kelly to have another Emperor here. I mean, it's not impossible that Chris Kelly has another Emperor and another pilot. Um, but if he doesn't, see, this is the danger of going to space against EBO. Yeah, the GIC. Yeah. Um, the danger of going to space against EBO is that EBO can add a lot of power in space really quickly. Um, I mean, I think I certainly will always remember the game from, I believe it was the OCS Top 8 2 years ago. I want to say it was Justin Branch, Silver Glen, where there was 47 overflow at Hoth because 12 ships got played. So, um, you got to be careful. Gogolen is down to just one card though, so. All right, so he did play the control tunnel vision to cancel the drain at the Hoth marker. Uh, and he did lose 2 to the drain, 2 to the drain at the Darth Vader's site. Vader's, I mean, Chris Kelly is still doing fine here, and I mean honestly, if he has the gick, I mean, okay, if he has the gick, actually, if he has the gick, what he should do is just attack, probably cause the ping damage with first strike and not let Gogolen retrieve. Let me think. How do? Yep. Okay, that's exactly what's happening. Okay. Gogolen's last ship was a react ship, so yeah, it seems like deploying all these characters to the battleground sites on Hoth is indicative that he's going to try to move in. Although one of the other things too is that the Hoth main power generators V, the dark side text of it is that movement requires additional force. So it's gonna be it's expensive to move in. Not necessarily totally untenable, but a little expensive. Also, since he didn't get that extra site out, uh, I guess he can afford to spend almost all of his force every turn draining at 4 locations. Okay. So yeah, the gick happened as we anticipated. Um, yeah, Dylan. Well, that was the trick that I was saying. I think before you joined the chat was that the reason I don't like EBO against the current incarnation of Hunt Down V is with all the Inquisitors, it's I think much more. I think it's much more likely that that Luke and Speeder will just die if you park him at a battleground. Um, because I mean, as we've seen, right, like these guys are Destiny 4s when you draw them for Battle Destiny. And when you put one of them up against Luke and you stack a hatred card, then you get +2 to your total. So you draw one of these guys and it's 6, and it cracks his immunity. Now that just kills Luke, but killing Luke will then flip you back. And then that's not even getting into if you draw multiple Destinies uh, with far more frightening, or if you like eventually your opponent may just have to let Luke's text get canceled, which is really bad. Like, probably not. Probably you just pay the force every time. But um, yeah, I mean, like those things on top of the flip side bonus, I think make this matchup pretty bad for EBO. Whereas I think it was pretty good against Hunt Down Non V. Like, I don't think it's unwinnable certainly, but I think it was. I think it's the. I think like with the matchup against Hunt Down Non V was to the point that well, but that's what I'm saying, Dylan. Is that even so? Yeah, Luke alone's not enough, and with the Admiral orders to limit you to one Destiny, that helps. But that's the thing is that the Hunt Down V can crack Immunity 6 pretty reliably, even with only one draw. Whereas like Hunt Down Non V basically can't, like you have to track you have to track your extra visage and your Phantom Menace and your Emperor in order to actually be able to crack 6 to kill Luke, um, or just like play a bunch of characters and overpower him, which is also not easy to do because Luke draws 2 Destiny. Um, Whereas right, like if you put Seventh Sister, right, Seventh Sister is covering 11 between her power and forfeit. Actually, Fifth Brother is even better because when you add once you add the hatred card, he's covering 13. So you can just put him up against Commander Luke and Rogue One by himself, and probably not take overflow after you draw your Destiny. So the past turn here was just Gogolen paying for drains, and now Chris Kelly is paying for drains back. After he loses all this, Gogolen's no longer going to have enough force to pay for all of his drains. So yeah, I could see that as well, Solid Snake. I mean, so Playing Darth Vader's lightsaber V is actually a really interesting choice for a couple of reasons. So the basic Darth Vader lightsaber adding to drains is like the baseline. That's a good thing to do, right? But the thing is that um, this deck is a known quantity, right? Like not completely known, but people were aware of this that this deck is here. Um, this build, I mean, so far really hasn't had many surprises that I've seen, except for this Darth Vader's lightsaber, and I guess this overseeing it personally. Um, but because it's such a known quantity, I think there's a definite possibility that you're going to run up against like Vergence in the Force, um, things to that effect, where um, adding to the force drain is not necessarily going to be the end all be all. And against a deck like Hitco that you're likely to face quite a lot, I mean, adding to the drain is certainly great, but if you just get to drain with Darth Vader every turn against Hitco, you are doing pretty good. So, like, I don't think you necessarily need the bonus. Yeah, exactly. You can run both copies and pull what you need exactly, which is what Chris Kelly has done here. Um, Now there is a danger, of course, to doing that. Of if you know which one you need and you pull blindly with "I am your father," you might miss. So you have to be careful of that. But as we discussed, like Darth Vader's lightsaber V is actually, I think, a lot better against Hitco than Vader's lightsaber is. I'd agree too. It's better in this matchup because you add the Destiny to attrition against speeders. So although as we talked about, you'll probably be able to clear Luke anyway. Doing that, you probably get to clear like Luke and Commander Wedge or whoever his backup character is. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits to running Darth Vader's lightsaber V. Also, you can just completely forget about the weapon lev shield, which you have to remember with the other Vader's lightsaber. Um, it didn't happen yesterday, but I have won a game against Hunt Down by weapon leving their Vader's lightsaber, and then it went to my lost pile where you can't get it with "I am your father." So we're kind of getting down to it here, but I think unfortunately the damage race is such that Chris Kelly is not going to lose so much to Uncontrollable Fury and this drain of two at Naboo that he won't be able to pay for his drains. I think Chris Gogolen is just going to take a little bit too much damage here to be able to lock Chris Kelly out. Like it is possible that the Uncontrollable Fury can lock them out, but I don't think that's what's going to happen here. We're moving. Why are we moving? I mean, I guess there's no danger in moving, but I'm not sure I understand it. This is a lot of shuffling force around for not a lot of reason. Um, I guess we'll see in a second. Okay. Does he have like a Hujix to block a drain of three? Is that what's about to happen? That'd be something, I guess. Sorry, for those who are interested in the game actually happening, Chris Goglin is down to six in his life force against two in hand. Chris Kelly has 13 in life force and no cards in hand, although he's deployed a whole bunch of stuff out to the table to present a lot of board presence. So, um, okay. Golgun's figured out a lot of ways to use unlimited moves to move stuff around for free without having to pay anything. Uh, so Dodonna, is he a pilot? Oh, he is a pilot. That's cool. All right. That's bold. What are we doing that for? And then land red 2 and land gold squadron 1. Just put enough forfeit down. Yeah, I've literally never seen it come up that Tadanovi is a pilot because he always just parks at the war room. I've never seen him do anything else. Yeah, it must be. Um, okay, so let's say it works. Gogolen's facing a drain of 2 here. He has to let race text get canceled, but that doesn't really matter. Drain of 2 here, drain of 2 here. And then, no, this isn't going to work. Because Chris Gogolen is facing drain of 2, 2, 2. Which is all 6 of his remaining life force. Even if he loses the 1 card in hand instead of all of this, he will then lose 1 force to first strike when Chris Kelly attacks him. So if he was going to do this, he needed to do this a turn before, but it probably wasn't safe a turn before, so here we are. Yeah, exactly. The first strike represents the 7th damage necessary to win the game. Yep, now we just have to execute all of the force drains. Oh. All right. So Chris Gogolen did have a Jedi mind trick that I think he was trying to play. Yeah, Chris Kelly's going to let him revert that. He can't play it on that drain because this drain can't be canceled, which is why I think it didn't. I think it just made him lose it. But he'll presumably just do it on one of these instead. Now, is that going to be enough now? Maybe. Because this guy's not a leader, so Tarkin doesn't add... Get out of here. So Tarkin doesn't add a destiny. So it's going to be dependent on whether or not this last 2 cards, whether Chris Kelly can crack 7 on the total. Because this isn't enough damage. So the trouble part is that this isn't enough damage to kill. This isn't enough damage to kill Chris Kelly. This is still only 4, even if he continues to satisfy battle plan. So, 4 is not going to be enough to save him from the drains next turn either. I wonder why Chris left 2 cards back. He didn't really need to do that. Adding doesn't matter, but that's fine. Oh, that Luke Skywalker would have made a big difference. Just getting the retrieval every turn. That could have been a big deal. Not finding that card the whole game. Well, I don't know. He's down by like 11 right now, so I don't know if it would have made that much of a difference, but Down by 13 now with the retrieval plus the force loss. Hey, there's the you are beaten he was looking for. He can draw that next turn and cancel the uncontrollable fury. Yeah, I think Gogolen found an interesting way to kind of extend the game and like reduce diff, but that's unfortunately not a thing that matters in this tournament. So, uh, yeah, and Chris Kelly is just gonna move Arsing over to make sure that Ray eats it. Yeah, I mean, if we were caring about diff at this point, I mean, he can do his drains of 4 and then attack and do one more ping. All right, well, Salzak was right about Chris Kelly being the winner of this matchup. So, as we spent, I think, a lot of time talking about, I think it was pretty favorable. But yeah, there's. Oh, all right. Fight like men, Gogolen. That's fine. Oh man. All right, so that does put Chris Kelly to 4-0. So he is through to day 2. Gogolen is now down to 2-2. So he's going to have to win both of his next rounds to make the day 2 cut. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to do it. I think, I mean, as we've seen from this, he's got some tech cards, but I think the best thing that he can do is just avoid playing Hunt down with his last light set game. I feel like the tech cards mattered, but this finds good success against IE. I could see it. I mean, I don't know that matchup real well historically, but I feel like that's one that EBO is probably not too upset by. Just like you probably like rub your hands together. It's like, oh, your opponent gave me something in space to attack. That's got to be great. So let's back out and